There are 14th Amendment citizens. This is the Constitution.
Listen, the most lawless people of America are in government. Anyone in government who does not uphold the Constitution, both state and federal, are lawless.
My name is Christopher Bronstein. I live in New Hampshire. Live free or die. You know?
He has helped Americans from around the world eliminate their income tax liability through his passport process.
It's like once you see the matrix, you can't unsee it. It's just there, okay?
Welcome to Destination Freedom. I'm glad you're here, and it's good to be in the studio, and I'm glad that you decided to join us. I just would ask that if you would to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also will upload this on Facebook, so you may be seeing this on Facebook, and we ask the same, that liking and subscribing helps with the algorithms, and I mean, how these things show up in people's feeds, it all plays out that way. So thanks so much for doing that. And today is Wednesday. What is it? The 17th of September of 2025. And everybody knows what's going on as far as in the current events and the details associated with Charlie Kirk and what's playing out. There's a lot being said about that, and that's not really what I'm going to focus on, is the particulars of that event or any of that. I'm really wanting to give you support by suggesting what you're doing with your head, and how you're processing what's showing up in front of you. Okay. And so when I talk about our things and the freedom issues that come across my desk and things like that, I always say that when dealing with government, every bill and every issue with respect to government, no matter what, is always, and it's never, this is the rule, and it's always about liberty and freedom. We know from the Declaration of Independence that the only kind of government that is that should exist is one that is a just government that only secures rights, doesn't create rights, doesn't make them. They use the word protects rights, but then again, you're looking for them to do them. Those rights are inherent from our Creator, and governments instituted among men derive their just power from the consent of the governed. The only purpose of government is to secure rights. So when all this stuff is happening in front of you, that would be on TV, if you watch TV, on the news, if you're looking at any kind of media and they're dealing with the current events, you always have to step back and observe. One is how you feel and what you're thinking about whatever is going around you, what's coming in through your senses. And I'm going to talk about some broad strokes of the way it is, and it's not going to be any different. Okay, this event has come. We're in the middle of it, and it's going to go at some point. And at the end of it, you're going to see what the true intention of people and or governments. And I'm here to say that it's not likely that the government is going to change. See, when people react and they take action and they buy things and they do things and they're moving and shaking the masses, regardless of what country they're in, there are opportunists, and that would be in government as well, that are looking to make money or to take power or to do something that they always do. They are going to capitalize, whether politically or financially, on this event. And I say that because that's the way it always is. It's never not like that. There's a reality going on in the world always, and that is that the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, as a Christian, I ascribe to a conspiracy out there that there is an adversary, Lucifer, or you want to call him Satan or whatever. And I have the belief that he's present, he's active, he's always doing something. He's never on vacation. It's always happening. Okay, so that's playing out. And of course, the kingdom of heaven is also playing out and is not passive. It's very active. There is a spiritual warfare going all the time, always on all the time for the hearts and minds of people worldwide. It's never not going on. Now, that's the big conspiracy that and how I look at the world from that perspective. Now, that's going on all the time. And what you're doing, if you ascribe that, and if you don't believe in that, that's fine. Then you get to look at something else or a different, you may have a different worldview, and you'll have to consider your worldview and if it supports you and your vision of where you're going, what you want to do, and of course, how you interact with others and how others interact with you. But I'm just telling you, my come from. Now, that's the spiritual or the big conspiracy, if you will. Here's some other things that are playing out, and they're playing out in this event, and that's this. There are central bankers, and I don't know if they're all in harmony with each other, but they're showing up, as you can well imagine, as different cartels or families, and they're jockeying for more money, influence, power, and they're never not showing up looking for more money, interest, money, influence, and control. It's never not. And then under there, you'll have governments which are bought and paid for by central bankers, always. And there's never a time ever in any country, generally speaking, in which it's not that way. Now, I'm not a pessimist in the sense that I recognize where I'm at in that and how it plays out. And it's up to me to govern my head, to take in certain negative information or certain information, process in a way that moves me towards my vision, my goal, and my relationship with the Almighty. And of course, people in the world, my brothers and sisters, spiritually and, physically, all that stuff I have to process in my head. That's my responsibility. My liberty and freedom is my responsibility. And I'll say my freedom, which is what I'm building in my heart and in my mind. That's playing out. So central bankers are playing out, and they may be a player. It's very likely that they're a player in this. Okay. And so when we talk about certain governments around the world, listen, I'm very critical of our government. I'm talking about the federal government. And of course, some of the governments in the states are more corrupt than others. So we just dropped out of it. So it's the, I'll wait till you're finished. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So that's playing out. Okay. So the central bankers and how money is showing up. No. So that's going to play out. Then you have, governments in different countries, and they're not, listen, if a government is showing up in any country and is securing rights, then that government is doing what it's supposed to. Now, let me just say this about whether we're talking about the Constitution or whatever. Okay. And again, we're going to drop down the food chain if you're getting into parties. Okay. Both political parties, which have the same vision and goal, whether the actual politicians know it or not, okay, it's irrelevant. These parties move along. They work together down the same governmental road that increases their wealth, increases power, and does the bidding of central bankers, corporations. All that stuff's happening even at this time with this particular event. It's never not happening. And so that's occurring and playing out. What I was saying about the Democrat and Republican thing, and even in this context of this particular event, we're using the term liberal and conservative. Now, you may ascribe to one side of that or not. And if you're not talking about government and you're talking about the nature of things, that may communicate on some level. But if it moves towards you're looking at government from those terms or titles, then again, it's going to be pegged into, it could be pegged into one of those parties. But the thing that I want you to get is, if you're having conversations about this event and you're using terms like Republican and Democrat, then you are exactly where they would like you to be, talking about left and right, this and that, because that's where it's going to move down the road. And you're going to find out, all you have to do is look at the trend in the last 50, 100 years, talking Democrat and Republican. How are we in America down the road here? We're exactly where they want us to be. We've had beautiful people like Ron Paul be in office and, point to central bankers. Nothing has changed. He's gone, and here we are still. Here's a principle that you can understand, and that is the deep state, or let me say this, government, that would include America's government, is never going to clean itself up, ever. It's not possible. You're not going to have a shithole clean up the shithole. It's not going to happen. They may say that. You may like it. That may happen. But just watch that if their lips are moving, they're probably lying. Governments lie. And that means people that speak for government, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that they're always lying. But the end result is going to be a lie, even if they promote some area of truth. Because a good lie is going to be packed full of truth. And the lie is that little hook or whatever's coming along in with it. The end result, what bills are going to be passed. And if it doesn't secure rights, then it's not going to happen. Because even in the context of Charlie Kirk, who was a big advocate of First Amendment, free speech, watch who is promoting no free speech when dealing with this issue. And that deals with the government across the sea, the Israeli government. Now, when I say that, I am not saying Jew. Understand that, okay? When I talk about America, I'm not talking about our government. Our government is corrupt. End of story, full stop. The jury's already in. It's bad. It's always bad. And so listen, if America's the best country on the planet, okay, then every other government is going to be worse. And unless you're going to consider that Israel's the best government on the planet, only securing rights, then you got to take a look and say, what's going on? What's happening? And just look at the facts and evidence. And this is a sentiment, a truth, if you will. Whoever it is that you cannot criticize, this is free speech, that you can't criticize or condemn with your words, they're the ones that are in control or in charge. They're the ones you can't speak about. Like in Harry Potter, what is it? Voldemort? That's the one you can't speak about. Why? Because he'll kick your ass. So if you're going to talk about free speech, it's got to be free speech. Listen carefully. Yeah. Yeah. I want to say it again about offended people who had family members killed. Yeah, of course. And it's always for a good reason, because, and that's being said today, you don't want to speak bad about whatever it is, because, well, here's an example. When you're talking about pedophilia, or you're talking about, human trafficking, because there are victims, you don't want to hurt the victims' feelings by talking about the bad guys. Yes, you have to bring justice to the victims. You got to point out whoever the criminals are. Don't let the people on the side govern your sentiment. So be aware that ground will be taken. And it's only going to be in two categories. It's going to expand government and control, or it's going to secure rights. And that means government's going to take it on the chin on some level. That's always playing out. And look, it's always, the reason these things are done is so they're heartfelt and you're moved emotionally and all that. And look, let that thing play out in your own heart and head, but don't get sucked into the agenda and thinking that it's this, that, or some political thing. That doesn't bring any victim justice at all. Freedom is, it's messy because other people's freedoms, when you're talking about their liberties, may not agree with your liberties. And it's the same things all the time. It's always the gun control. Those are almost easy. That's always, anytime these things happen, it's always gun control. It's just, that argument is just ridiculous. Let's disarm everybody because the bad guys are not going to have anything. It's just stupid. So that's there, but that's not the one you're going to watch that's happening. Okay. You're going to watch the establishment, the administration take ground in the area of surveillance. It's going to happen. And listen, here's a principle. It's always this way. Freedom is always given up with the offer of safety or something in that category. It's for a good reason that you should give up your liberties. It's never not that way. It's always that way. Be aware of that. I mean, maybe you are aware of that, and that's just awesome. And also, because you love liberty and freedom, be a source for people of keeping their heads right. Okay. Maybe this can be a time for you to take ground in your own life, seeing how you're pursuing your happiness, because you're going to be invited to move away from your pursuit of happiness. And of course, this can be a distraction. A distraction for what? Okay, so let's just talk about that. Okay, what distraction? Okay, here's some things that you can consider. If the media and or the masses are talking about the Charlie Kirk event, what's not being looked at? What's going on over here that's not being reported? What ground is being taken? This is a huge distraction. It's a good distraction, if you will. And so be aware of, are there bills being passed without any kind of media attention? Are governments taking ground behind the scenes? Usually happens. Be aware of that. Watch for that. That's what you have to do. This can be a distraction. And we're not even addressing whether this was done by another government. That's got to play out. And I'll tell you, there's some, and it's interesting. And I'm just going to be matter of fact about it, because the conversation about Israel is not a small thing. It's a huge thing. And again, the question would come up: is Israel an enemy or a friend? Is Israel in charge of how the world plays out or not? How is that relationship? Does Americans government, does the United States government do the bidding of the Israeli government? Got to look at that. And again, I think it was Tucker Carlson that talked about, look, if we can't ask questions and see. So are they responsible on some level? And again, both these our governments have a CIA, which, I think that's a corrupt organization. And certainly I know for a fact, I know that the FBI is a corrupt organization. How do I know? Well, they covered up the pedophilia associated with, and the trafficking associated with, space in, with the guy that's not dead yet, Epstein. Yeah. The FBI, covered it up. Just all you have to do is watch the Netflix special, the one that was called Filthy Rich. And they were going to prosecute him. And then the FBI came in and gave him a plea bargain, and all went away. I mean, so that's played out. And look, and then their CIA, the Mossad, are they involved? And how are they involved? And if you think they're not a player in world events, then you're foolish. It's a reality. And if you've never seen the film V for Vendetta, V for Vendetta, That's what's going on. When you see the inspectors coming in, and all of a sudden he's helping government, all of a sudden he's having to look at, wow, there's events that are playing up around him. There's another sentiment going on here. Maybe the government wasn't against whoever the boogeyman is, and they're actually against and wanting to control its own people. That's not a new idea. And then we get to revisit all these false flags and things like that. It gets all to play out. So be aware that you're being invited in and sucked into this thing. But one of the basic things that you have to play out is never to trust your government. And it's a paradox. You have to trust people, and people are not trustworthy. It's a terrible plight for humanity. That's why the founders and others have always said, this is why we don't promote a king. Not because you couldn't have a moral or a righteous king that would bring justice and secure rights. That could happen if you had a moral and a righteous king. But the founders know when you get all that power on just a man or a woman's shoulders, it's too much. It takes them out. It usually takes them out. History, has proven it takes them out. That's why they thought to decentralize government into 3 branches. And of course, our United States, America's government is a beautiful example on the separation of powers. Of course, our judiciary checks the other 2 branches to make sure they're not violating our rights, right? No, that's not quite happening. They're kind of like working together. Let's see. The executive branch picks the people that are in the judicial branch, and then the legislature signs off on them. Sounds like they're working together to me. How are we doing? Has the Supreme Court kept us in freedom and all that? Not likely. They're just guys and gals that are wearing black dresses. How are we doing? Not so good. Not so good. And being critical of that, what does that mean? I'm critical because I at least fantasize about a higher standard of liberty and freedom. But in this area that I'll just want to just touch on, because I think this is really important, and it's dangerous, having conversations about Israel. Okay. And again, this is not about the people of Israel. When I say Israel, I'm talking about their government, and that's it. I'm not talking about anything else other than the government. And you would hope that their people would restrain their government. And if you think all of the people of Israel are on board their government, you're not. Certainly our media is not going to show things like that. But if you look at their media, maybe you have to watch like Al Jazeera or whatever, some other news. I don't know if you can trust news. You'd have to have news that distrusts government, like with everything that's in them, would be the only news anywhere that you could trust, that they would be critical. But there are some of the Israeli people are not on board with what their government's doing. And so imagine the world judging the American people by what our government does and what our military does worldwide. No kidding that people don't like America. I remember some Republicans were saying, like, they don't like our freedoms. Go F yourself is such a stupid idea. Yeah, people just don't like freedom. That's why they don't like America. Oh, screw yourself. That's just obscene. Nobody believes that. No, the idea is that if our foreign policy is violating other people, no kidding, they or their children are going to hate us. And the amazing thing, and governments don't really take it on the chin, because as long as those people just hate the American people, then they can rile their people up, and then our government can make our people hate their people. It's just stupid. It's just bad. And we don't going to get sucked into that. Usually when people travel the world freely, it's a beautiful thing to enter other countries and see lovely people who have children and families that want to eat and dance and play music and enjoy life like most people do and want to do. And listen, a lot of wars happen because people think they're serving their own God on some level and doing the world a favor by harming someone. How is that a good thing? And that happens a lot, because to do something as evil as killing people in some level, you have to justify in your head, because your head isn't made to do that to people. So therefore you have to justify or make it righteous on some level. It's just ridiculous. So we're playing this out. So that's all playing out as they move towards Friday's events in Arizona, and they're dealing with this particular issue. What I wanted to mention to you about Israel, and what I understand was that Israel, in some fashion, and it might not have been the government of Israel, but there's something Israel and America, whatever, we're looking to give money to Charlie Kirk's organization. Okay. And I think he was going to go along with it or something. I'm not sure how that story's playing out. But as he began to look at the atrocities going on over in the Middle East and such as that, he began to not be on board with some of that sentiment. And there's someone who's also very close to Charlie Kirk, is Candace Owens. Listen to some of the things she's saying, because even Trump was reaching out to her and not wanting her to talk critically about Israel. And then all of a sudden she's being pressured to not speak and stuff like that. And this is free speech is showing up in this capacity, but it is the same governments around the world trying to control and spin and do all that stuff. So that's what's playing out. And I hope that in America, we preserve free speech. And usually free speech that has to be preserved is speech you don't like. Okay? That's the speech that has to be protected. Talking that you don't like. That's why this whole idea of hate speech is just bonkers. You got to be able to speak your mind, whatever it is, even if you hate something that someone else may love. Usually when you hear someone stupid in their speech on some capacity, if you just let them speak, you get out of their way, they'll ruin themselves. It plays out. It's going to be okay. Talking doesn't hurt anybody, generally speaking, even if you want to consider it harmful, whatever it is, however you frame it. Ultimately, you're the one that gets to process whether you believe what is being said or not, even if it's about you. You can dismiss it. That's the beauty, that you have control of your own thoughts and minds. Someone else's words don't have to harm you. You can also say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they say, what they do. You have that power. And sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes it hurts, especially around people who you love or something. That's where it hurts most. Or in a betrayal, those kind of words hurt. But we don't want to stop we don't want to stop any kind of speech, because sometimes out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You can know what people have in their heart by the abundance of what comes out of their mouth. Not the one comment doesn't show you the abundance. It's about what's coming out of the mouth is what is mostly in their heart, not just the one thing. Okay. It's a process. And so you get to govern that and see what that's all about. So free speech is a big deal. And if somebody wants to shut down bad speaking, like we're seeing, even with respect to this event, some people are cheering on about the event. If you think you're going to listen, if someone says something funky and they work for somebody, that they can fire them if they don't like what they said. And that's their right if they don't like, or that it doesn't promote their brand or whatever. They have a right to be able to do that. That's not a bad thing. Be careful that you want government to limit that. Or if the central bankers, that they'll move towards now blocking your money because of what you're saying. That's bad. That's where you bring government on. And that's the stuff we don't want. We don't want government dictating, what's going on in our lives. And of course, when we're attached to the Federal Reserve, be aware of what governments are going to use the Federal Reserve to govern how these things play out. But that's what's playing out. And these principles of liberty and freedom are always the things we want to consider and protect. These events will come and go, and they'll have impact in some capacity, but that'll play out. So anyway, that's the way I wanted to just invite you into keeping your heart, keeping your mind, and protecting your joy. And the beautiful thing about, doing the work that I do is that you can have real results in your life, and that you can actually make difference and a change in your own life and how things are showing up in your own life. You may not ever known Charlie Kirk or somebody around or associated with that, or someone that was harmed, or whatever the thing may play out. You may just be hearing about it and observing it from a distance. If you allow it to have an effect of your life, then those that have facilitated this event have more power than they should have. You can govern that you're not affected by that, to the end that you stay on your course of securing your own liberty and freedom. So I wanted to just share that with you. I did want to move into the next part of this particular call and be able to answer questions with respect to state citizenship and things like that. It looks like, let me see if I can see, I can't see any of the questions. So it doesn't show up for me. Oh, wait a minute. I got it now. There we go. All right. Let me see if I can, let me see which one. What do you think about Trump revoking passports of people who criticize Israel? Well, when Israel's running America, well, that's what you get. If Israel determines what people have passports, well, then, it lets you, the beautiful thing about that, the good thing is it lets you know that the administration isn't promoting America. They are promoting a foreign country. And so the idea of that is that some believe that that's treasonous, that it isn't America first, it's Israel first. Well, then that should be political suicide for this administration. So I was just trying to see, yeah. All pledge and loads in play. Yeah. Yeah. Well, now, and again, let me back up to that other one about the financial aid. Yeah. So, well, if local states and things want to receive money from the administration that supports Israel and things like that, well, then, yeah, they'll have to do bidding. If Trump is legally able to govern things based upon what he feels and such like that, well, then those people will have the money based upon their allegiances to this foreign government. And that'll play out. I'm of the opinion the federal government, the United States coming out of the district has gone beyond its usefulness. And I'd say dissolve it, make America states again. That's all. And the best part, in my opinion, of America is its separation of states, our union, if you will. I advocate our union. I don't advocate our union government. It's all messed up. So what do I think about, well, we got that one. Then it says, well, that's very kind of you. Sentiment. Oh, that's too kind. Thank you so much for that. That's a real blessing. Yeah. So if you have any questions about state citizenship or passport process, if you want to eliminate your income tax liability and you want to understand the basis of that, then you can go to DestinationFreedom.org, and then you can go to our website. There's a class called State versus Federal Citizenship, the Unknown Choice, and you can see and determine if you have an income tax liability. That's where I'd start. And then you can decide whether you want to do the passport process or not. That would be the passport workshop, where you do your documents, or you do what we call the full service passport process, where we do up your documents for you, make that pathway really easy for you. And then ultimately you'll get certified documents of your passport file from the Secretary of State. That's the process that we've used to communicate to the federal government that you're not a 14th Amendment federal citizen. So that's that initial pathway that we recommend that people pursue. What is my recommendation for someone opening a new business and not incorporating? Well, that's great. If you're starting a new business, then just get busy with your busyness. You don't need to go to government. Sometimes, depending on what corrupt state you're in, they may be requiring licensing. But I would just recommend that you go to the statutes that govern those things and see what it is they govern. They may just govern corporations. So don't do the LLC. Don't do anything corporate, because you may have a great business idea and a great business model. And then if you have a great business and then you join it up with government, you've just now become governmental, and they of course can tax and or regulate you. I don't recommend you do that. Just get busy serving people on whatever capacity you want to do that. And of course, you're able to get insurance and all that. So if you pursue that way and you yourself want to move out of the federal zone and you want to secure your liberty and freedom, we can help you with that. And then we also have support in helping you, set your business up in which you're not, inviting government into your business affairs. And there was Pat said, any good options? I'm not clear about I've got lots of options. There's lots of options. I mean, are you asking me what? No, I understand that. I didn't know what she was asking. Any good options? So those are options. Stay out of government. I'm not sure if you were asking me, are there any good types of businesses to get into? Yeah, I have a couple. I always got some idea of businesses to get into. Ones that deal with people directly. But I would definitely. Oh, that's cool. With respect to business, listen, the monetary systems are going to fail. I'm a big fan of cryptocurrency. I'm not a big fan of government cryptocurrency. Okay, I think that all governments, corporations should just use Bitcoin. Very transparent. Okay, and look, central bankers are in the space. They want you to be able to buy certain cryptos by derivatives, meaning they're going to hold the cryptos, they're going to lend you their junk stuff, and then that way they're not, listen, never forget it was gold and silver that created central banks, okay? Never forget that, because the bankers came along and said, we're going to hold your gold, and then you can write checks against it, and we will pay out these bills that you send out to people and all that. That's how bankers got into it, and they noticed people weren't taking their assets out, and so they were just lending out more than that they had. That's how fractional reserve lending came about. But anyway, so but getting into business, any type of personal service where you can serve other people is always great. That's always where you'll make the biggest need. When you look at how bad things may be, get into businesses that help people succeed in many different areas, in whether it's food, water, shelter, things like that. That's way that you'll always be in business no matter what's going on. James mentioned that one of the things that we offer is foreign irrevocable contractual trusts. And so our trusts, we have trustees that are part of, if you're a trustee for your trust, we have what they call adversarial trustees. These are people that I know personally and that have done the passport process. They don't have filing requirements, and they too have trust. So you're in a community of people like yourselves that has, assets and trust. So that it's set up that way, and you can build that kind of community. But it is built and based in trust. These are not statutory trusts. They don't have tax ID numbers, nothing like that. So that's there. And yes, we make those available to clients. All of our services are available only to clients. The only thing that you can, that we make available to you without you being a client, is our state versus federal citizenship class. That class is available to anyone for them to take. But if you do our passport processes, and then you move into other, what we call alignment workshops and things, you have to be a client. And we have a hold harmless agreement that you can get notarized and that we can have. That way you can be responsible for what you do and all that. That's great, Pat. I'm looking forward to chatting with you and helping you along your pathway. That'll be great. That'll be awesome. I appreciate your sentiment. One of the things I'm looking forward to is, I guess, up in the Burlington, Vermont area. I guess it's up that way. I'm going to be doing a talk on Sunday. So if you're up in that Vermont area, reach out to us and we'll see if we can give you some directions to that location. That would be kind of fun. So, all right. Any other questions? Any other comments, slide remarks, things like that? All right. Well, hey, maybe it's going to be a nice, easy night tonight. And this will be a nice little short video. Keep prayerful. I covet your prayers. Thank you for, I got a lot going on, not only with clients and the work we have and trying to stay afloat in that regard, personal things going on for me. And I appreciate your prayers for me and my wife and all the things we got on our plate. So thanks for praying for the Destination Freedom team. That would include yours truly, my dear son. And of course, I got to mention my daughter, even though she's not part of the team. She's always part of the team in spirit anyway. So, anyway, yeah, it's just the way it is being a dad. All right. I love you all. We'll see you soon. Be sure to like and subscribe. This is Destination Freedom, and I'm Christopher Gronsky. I'm glad you're here. We'll see you next time.
Do not wish this life to pass away, but life presents such possibilities each and every day. I heard a calling that was right for me. I prayed for strength for what's ahead of me. Show me the show me the way. The sun rose high and burnt the night away. Who stood before me was my enemy. Don't tread on me. He's come to take away my liberties. I'd rather die than be a slave to thee. Don't treat me this way.